Yo, what is up? It's that time, it's that hour. It's Righteous with another video. Alright, it's time for me to break down Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan King Garcia. Alright, so you know how I do when it comes to pre-evaluations. I always try to give you the story. I always try to give you why I think a person might win or a person might lose. Just the odds, the pros and cons of the fight. Obviously, it's going to be a good fight. I like the whole idea of it being a big fight. I think it deserves the shine. To be honest, I feel like the welterweight division has been letting us down in every aspect. And then when you look at the other divisions, they're trying, but we have COVID and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're back with the 135 division, staying active, being somewhat explosive, giving us entertainment, and just rocking out, man, with the stars. We got a lot of people at 135, and that's the new hot division for now. But if I'm breaking down the fight, I have a couple of ways of looking at it. When it comes to betting, I will give you my odds right now. So if it was me, which I'm in Vegas, you guys know I'm gonna have to consider a wager at any point, whether it's $1 or 100 or 1,000. This is exactly how I would do it. So for me, I would bet the first 4 rounds Ryan, and then the rest all Tank. And I would even have a separate bet, because you could bet those separately, or I think you can bet those together if I'm not mistaken, or individually by round. But even if you can't, whatever, I would have a separate bet for just Gervonta winning, period. Obviously, like, you don't get that much back, but you could always bet pure knockout W, or you could just bet W. But me, I think Gervonta is winning. Yeah, I think it's hyperbole. I think it's a little overrated that people are saying that it's a 50-50 fight. I don't agree with that. Reason being is Gervonta's knockout ratio is super high. I don't see him failing when it comes to trying and getting that shit, because Ryan's already been dropped. And to be honest, I don't think he has the footwork for Gervonta. I really don't. I think the first few rounds is his best bet. After that, if Tank sticks around, it's over for him. I really don't see it going that far for Ryan as the rounds go further. He just doesn't have the experience. Tank does. Tank has the what's it called? The sparring rounds. He has an amateur background. Ryan does too, but he's a little bit younger. And if you look at the interviews and stuff, you can see right through it. You can see that Gervonta is a little more confident than Ryan. Not that much more, not to a crazy amount, because obviously we don't want to give only respect to the people that are naive, because if you're naive, then you can be knocked out too. But that's not the case for Gervonta. I think he's still being humble, but he's still being a little disrespectful by saying that Ryan is a star, but he doesn't want to really say that. He wants to act like what's it called? That maybe he kind of feels like, all right, he deserves some respect, but he doesn't deserve to be like me. I think at times Gervonta is humble. He doesn't want to be considered better than anybody. He just wants to be himself. And he's actually growing on me. All those years of him kind of ducking Loma, because I wasn't really invested in those times in that division. But I think he's preparing himself for a match with, I should say fight, because I hate that word when it comes to boxing. But yeah, I think he's prepping himself for a fight like that. And if you ask me, I've seen fights where the fighter is probably gearing up for another opponent, and they kind of don't give a fuck if they take a L. So kind of like for me, the way I see it is like an example like this. It was Kell Brook. Kell Brook fought Triple G, I feel like, because he was intimidated by fighting Errol Spence. I feel like if it wasn't for the fight that he had with Triple G, he probably never would have fought Errol Spence. And for some reason, it just worked out for him because it was a completely different division, which is what I think is happening with Ryan. He's testing himself in a so-called big fight, but he can't, like, the levels is close, but it's not exactly it. So being that he might have a 50-50 fight with someone like, let's say, Teofimo, perfect. Both guys are 140-ish if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Ryan, he can jump up to 140-ish if he wanted to. But he fights Gervonta, which is considered a big fight. He survives it because he's the bigger guy. Then it gives him the experience to move on. The audience fucking adores him and lets him slide because they know that he's young. He's 24. And that's it. There's nothing else to add to the story unless Gervonta drops him. So that's why I feel like the fight is important. It's a great fight because both guys are getting experience. But if you ask me, I'm thinking Tank is going to ice him. Tank doesn't know any other way to fight, so he's going to try to ice him. I think it's a very dangerous fight for Ryan, if you ask me. And if you're asking me odds, like percentage and shit like that, I would say that I think it's like 65-35 in my opinion. I think Tank has way more advantages, man. Because Tank's fought all over the country, bro. You gotta understand, Tank is really good when it comes to the money-making part, like the whole experience when it comes to like stadiums and places that you need to sell out in order for you to be getting those arenas and shit. You can't just be getting those and be like, oh, it's all good. 'Cause look what they did. They did to Terrence Crawford. He couldn't always sell out. But the crazy thing is that, bro, like, there's no title on this. Like, I don't know if you're casual, I don't know who you are, if you're hardcore, but there's no title or championship belt on this for this fight. So it's really just ego and money just being thrown around. So, like I said, even if Ryan doesn't make the crowd happy or whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter because there's no title on the line. So I don't know. I really feel like this is being overhyped a little bit. It's a lot of just show, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if this is gonna be a war. I don't know about all that. Plus, we're in Vegas, so sometimes they just choose for you. You see what I mean? Sometimes they just choose for you. But unless Ryan is putting up a volume, talking about a great volume of punches, like Pacquiao-ish, fucking Miguel Cotto, Zab Judah volume, talking about like Joe Calzaghe type of numbers, you know what I'm saying? Like, it gotta be that kind of shit. Where Ryan is, that sword is out there, you know what I'm saying? Just backing him off. He can't fuck with him. That's the only way I see him icing Tank, because he has to accumulate. Now, they say that he has that knockout power. I've seen his videos where he's twitchy and shit like that, and he uses all these fucking mechanics and blah, blah, blah. But like, yo, that's for somebody that's slower, man. Some say, some might say, oh, well, it's hard for you to duplicate Ryan, as like, if Tank is sparring, with somebody that's trying to be like Ryan. Okay, where are you gonna find someone that's the height of Tank and has that kind of knockout power? you're not going to find it. He developed that power. He's worked on that power. He's like Canelo if Canelo stayed in one division. That is fucking dangerous. Those guys are the most dangerous because they're barely moving up and their power is staying with them, so they don't have to bring their power to a whole nother division because they're practicing on that power even more in one division. It's kind of like Tyson or Triple G, you know, Pacquiao, that when he stayed in one division, I mean, he never really did, so I shouldn't even mention him, but, you know, other guys that stayed, you know, we can name them. They're there. I mean, you know, Roy Jones had his power when he stayed, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot, you know, welterweights too. But the special ones do move up and they fucking bring their power, or they have their technical side and they fuck shit up. But Tank, that dude is staying in one division. Now look, listen, there's one more thing I wanted to add. Hope you're still here with me. If you are, you guys definitely like what I'm saying to you. But to be honest, to open up the conversation a little bit more about the division, I want to bring up Shakur Stevenson. So when it comes to Shakur Stevenson, I feel like he's actually pushing the division where it's causing these guys to fight. That's why they are making this fight, because they know he's on his way. Now, some people might say, oh, yeah, well, I don't know, and this and that. I don't agree. There's valid reason to understand, like, you don't agree that Shakur Stevenson is a big enough draw to fight these guys. Makes enough sense. He's not a main event draw like that. He's just somebody that you would watch on TV to see create history. But when we're talking about Gervonta, these guys, you do have to earn your spot. But I will say this, and people just don't give it enough credit. Sometimes they don't think that it matters anymore, because it's true. You have YouTubers creating these fights and, you know, making millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, if you're an Olympian, you still have some cachet. It might not show in the forefront when it comes to people rolling up in Rolls Royces and this and that, or doing big things. But yo, it matters when you're signing those contracts and when you're the only one in your division that's not being called out. Like, that was one thing the Top Rank did in their marketing that was pretty great. They basically said that Stevenson hasn't been called out by anybody. And that to me is like, yo, that's pretty good, man. That's like really good. But going back to the point of the division though, he's been fighting at 126. See, no, some people are not following it. It's just that Stevenson, he's from their age group, but then he's still a little bit younger. And that is a fucking knock against their ego. Like Devin or Loma or Tank. Right now, to be honest, I think Tank fucks up Stevenson. But I still think that Shakur is he's succeeding so quickly, so rapidly with that whole Olympic thing in his background too, that it pushes the division forward. So like it's gonna force these guys to try to ice each other quick, because at the end of the day, look, these guys don't have belts. The only guy that has it is one guy. So you got to remember, Loma could opt in for a rematch. With belts on the line, the story is longer. There's more money on the line because there's still more insurance for more fights, like rematches and shit like that. But anyway, I don't want to rant too much about the division when nothing has even happened yet. I'm just giving you my pick. I think it's worth the watch. Let me know what you guys decide to choose. I know it's still a little bit early. I'm going to keep watching these weigh-ins and maybe give you a part 2 of a pre-evaluation for Tank and Ryan, the King. So I'm watching it all, man. All the Tyson interviews, all the Complex interviews, anything that's put out, all the smoke, fucking All Access. I'm watching all of it, and I'm trying to keep up to date and keep an ear out to anything that's going on in the camp, because pretty soon it's going to be over and they're going to just have media to do. And if I find out anything, I'll try to upload something as soon as possible. But yeah, man, Keep your noties on. I hope to bring you guys at least 2 more videos this week. So, especially on fight night. Well, much respect to you guys. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. Be a leader, be true. And let's try to keep boxing alive. Yo, peace out later.